Hi there guys, my name is Zach and welcome to my channel. Amongst other things, I'm a reenactor and a jouster, and this week I am very excited and I want to talk to you about some new leg armour that is in the works and some of the research that has gone into getting it made. Okay, so as I mentioned in my previous video on my new armour, I was really thinking about getting an English armour, and I was looking at the Dennington Effigy. Now you can find a link to some videos that Matt Easton did with Toby Capwell on this effigy. You can find that link in the description down below. But what it basically came down to is, in the end, I decided not to go with this effigy. On the advice of Toby Capwell, basically there would be too many changes that would need to be made and it would no longer be a replica of this effigy. So he recommended this one. This is the Lingfield effigy, and this is has got some similarities to the Dennington, but is also different in certain ways. One of the ways in which it's different is that the Dennington effigy has a very English thing, which is fully enclosed creases. That's the thigh armour. Now, this isn't purely English. You do see this in other parts of Europe, but it is quite typical for English armour, especially in the first half of the 15th century. The Lingfield effigy doesn't have this. Now, the reason why that's important is that I'm intending to use this armour for jousting. It is possible to ride a horse with fully enclosed creases, but it's not necessarily ideal. The reason for this is twofold. One is that it cuts down the contact that you have with the horse. Not that your creases aren't touching the horse, but the two-way contact that allows you to feel what the horse is doing underneath you, how it's moving, and it does give you slightly less of the kind of haptic feedback that you get through the saddle. Also, it can really cut up the saddle. Obviously, a saddle is made out of leather. Steel armour rubbing against the leather can really damage it. This would be less of a problem for a medieval knight who is effectively a millionaire or a billionaire, but quite a lot of a problem for me, who is a primary school teacher in London. One of the really nice things about using an effigy over things like manuscript miniatures or things like that is that the detail is really close. So you can get up nice, close and personal. The Lingfield effigy itself is in a church which is quite close to where I live. It's only about half an hour's drive away. So I was able to go there and get all of these photos really close up. I also contacted the church ahead of time, and they very kindly lent me a stepladder. One thing to look out for when you're looking at effigies is the soles of the shoes. Now, a lot of effigies were damaged, especially in England during the Reformation. They were a very Catholic thing, and a lot of them were vandalised. Some were even destroyed. Obviously, we don't have those anymore. And one of the things, and then in the 19th century, some very helpful Victorians came and they fixed up a lot of them, which was very kind of them. But it can cause a problem because you don't necessarily know what is correct and what is not correct. Now, looking at the soles of these shoes, you can actually see that they have a turn sole on them. That is, the sole of the shoe is sewn to the outer of the shoe while the shoe is inside out, and then it is turned around the right way. This is very different to the way shoes were made in the Victorian times. So we can say that this part, and most likely therefore all of the legs on this effigy, are original to the 15th century. A really nice thing as well is that we see how the Sabatons are attached underneath the shoe. And this in some way will actually give you a little bit more grip under a turn shoe, because the flat leather can be quite slick. This strap, or this two-strap thing, can actually give you some benefits of grip. it was very important for this armour that we attempt to make the Sabatons. And here's where you can come across some of the problems with effigies over using some other forms of reference. Original armours, as an example, you can see most of what was there. In fact, you can even take bits apart to see stuff that you can't normally see. Here we have an example, though, of looking at the Sabaton here. We can't actually see whether or not it has a back plate. Now, looking at the rest of the effigy, it does appear that this particular gentleman, Sir Reginald Cobham, did favour a lot of protection. So we've decided to go for a back plate going around the heel as well. It's not clear whether that is what is sculpted on the effigy, because there is a dog in the way, but that's what we're going to go for. It was important to me that we do Sabatons for this effigy, because plate Sabatons tend to appear on most English armours of the 15th century, even when in other countries they are, some of them wearing male Sabatons or no Sabatons at all. The plate Sabaton does tend to be used throughout England. This particular style includes some articulation around the toe, overlapping upwards towards the heel, and it's mostly one big plate over the main arch. There are others which overlap the other way, and which have lots of smaller articulations going down towards the toe. But both styles do appear throughout the 15th century. And if you haven't got Toby Capwell's book on the medieval armour of England in the 15th century, I would very much recommend it. He goes into a lot of detail about these sorts of things, and those books have been invaluable in this. He doesn't actually go into too much detail on this effigy in particular, because this one, as you will see, has a lot of Italian influences. It's possible that this might be actually an Italian-made armour for the English market, so we're not sure. Here you can see the early stages of the reproduction that's being made. I have sent a leg cast and my boots to Art of Steel in the Ukraine, who are creating my armour for me, and I'm so excited to see these pictures coming through. Really, really great, and hopefully I'll keep you guys updated with this. Art of Steel have been really amazing. I've not been great at all with lockdown and all sorts of things going on in my life, a new baby and everything. I have not kept them in the loop, and they've been massively professional, and I am so excited about what they're doing with the armour so far. So yeah, stay tuned for more of that. Here's another really cool benefit of using an effigy. It's the same benefit. The detail is so good. Have a look at these greaves here, and you can see that the hinge is visible from the outside just about, but the actual plates of the hinge on this particular armour are on the inside. Now, I hadn't noticed that before. I haven't seen that on many original armours. My previous ones, the hinges are on the outside. It's very likely that they are, but these details are captured by the effigy creators in a way that you just don't get with manuscript miniatures, and in many cases with manuscript miniatures, people will look at them and they'll say, oh, this is not normal, so it must be incorrect. This is so clear what is going on here. Also, on this particular one, the straps are even riveted on the inside of the greave, and they come out through a slot and then are buckled on the outside. So it's really interesting. I've no idea what the benefits to this are. We're just going to have to wait and see when I actually get this armour. And and try it on. As usual for these armours, I say as usual, there's always exceptions to every rule. The straps appear to be on the inside of the leg and the buckles on the inside of the leg, with the hinges on the outside of the leg. Now, like I said, this isn't a constant. There's exceptions to every rule, but this actually surprised me when I first found out about this loads of years ago. But it works fine, even with horses. You'd think maybe a buckle might worry a horse, but I have not found any problem with it at all. You obviously need to make sure that your buckles have no sharp edges, but you'd need to do that anyway with your armour before you go onto a horse. Here's a point that came up recently, just today in fact, which I hadn't even thought of before. My arming boots are quite high. They come up above the ankle, the idea being that they give some padding to the ankle. But on this particular armour, with the hinges on the inside of the greave, they actually will rub where the ties are on my particular boots. So I'm either going to need to get some new boots made or modify these boots so that they interact with my armour better. All of these sorts of things you just don't necessarily think about. But the entirety of the knight's outfit, from shoes, all of it needs to fit and work with the armour in question. And here we get to one of the reasons why the Denning, this kind of is a nice replacement to the Dennington Effigy in my mind. One of the things I liked about the Dennington Effigy was the demi-greave, the part of the crease that folds over the greave, and how that had some interesting shaping to it. Here on this armour, you see there is some interesting cusping, and in fact, probably a rolled edge, which makes the edge of the demi-greave stand out somewhat, making it a bit of a statement here, which you don't always see. In fact, you don't see a lot during this period, and it's obviously some attempt, like I said before, maybe an Italian armourer trying to give a nod to the very English fashion of having some dags down here on the demi-greave. So now moving up to the knee cups, we can see that they're quite standard. There's some really nice shaping to them. There's 2 lames for articulation below the knee and 1 lame above, which again I think is quite standard, although it's not necessarily something that you would think of. You might want it to be symmetrical, but symmetricality, I don't know, symmetricalness is not necessarily something that the medieval mind is particularly going for. It's got a visible rivet head in the middle of the knee wing. So in case you don't know, these wings on the side of the knee are to stop weapons from getting around the back of your leg and cutting the ligaments in the back of your knee. This is really important, and in fact quite a few armours also included them on the inside of the knee. This armour itself doesn't appear to have them on the inside of the knee, which again suggests that this armour might be optimised, or at least considering being used on horseback, because you don't need them on the inside of your knee when you are fighting from horseback. Anyway, there's a rivet right in the middle of the wing. This is to attach the strap which holds the knee in place. It's very important that the knee part isn't flapping around all over the place, or you end up with bruised knees. It'll be very uncomfortable. So nice and close. Now, something that I didn't notice until Alexi from Art of Steel pointed out to me, just by spending hours looking at these photos and visiting it in person, is that the straps appear to actually be on the outside of the thighs. And we're not going to go for that. We're going to put the straps on the inside. I think that there's actually supposed to be hinges there, as you would see on the outside of the greaves lower down. I don't know if it's a mistake by the sculptor, but personally I think it will look cleaner. I think Alexi feels the same, to have the hinges on the outside and the straps on the inside, as you see on the lower leg. It'd be interesting to find out if if this is seen anywhere else in other effigies as well. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this. It's been quite an in-depth look at the leg armour on a particular effigy. So I'm really excited for what is coming up. If you're excited as well, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Do like this and share it with other people, so I know that you want to see more of this sort of thing. Maybe we could go into other parts of the armour and do quite an in-depth look at those as well. Do check out the links in the description. Check out my merch shop if you want to support the channel. Check out Art of Steel, find their links there as well. And yeah, please leave a comment, ask any questions. If there's anything I've missed, please ask away. Thank you everyone who does that, who likes, shares and subscribes. It really makes my day when I see those come in. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.